Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's me again. It's Damon, coming up with, like I mentioned, we will discuss about the best movie trilogies out there, in my opinion. So all of these are my opinions. So if I didn't see a movie trilogy or it's not on a list, feel free to list them in the comments below. So since we're talking about best movie trilogies, I decided we'd go with 20 because uh, it's very, very difficult to find great movie trilogies, and none of them that didn't fumble at the end, which was my previous video. Check it out if you have when you have time. So before we go with the top 20, I'll tell you which one I did not see. So can I tell you this? So basically, trilogy to me was at least it has to be at least a great trilogy. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. It's at least three movies out of maximum five that are actually good from a same series. If there's more than five, it becomes completely a movie saga, and there's not going to be any movie saga in this one. So there's not going to be James Bond. There's not going to be uh, there's not going to be James Bond. There's not going to be Fast and Furious. There's not going to be Harry Potter. There's not going to be those. Okay, so just five movies at the most. So, and that would mean of their original when it was originally made. So basically, if it's a series that goes on for nine movies and was made for nine movies, doesn't count. But if it was a movie that was originally made for three, and then afterwards it became like 20 years later that another trilogy, that's something else. Okay. So on that list, on that note, I'll just start with the ones I did not see. So do not expect them to be on the list. We have, in this case, okay, I did not see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I did not see the Dirty Harry series. So both of them happen to be series that basically were before my time, so I didn't get to see them. I know my dad is a great fan of Good, Bad, and Ugly, so in that case, hi Dad, if you ever see that. So he loves Clint Eastwood, especially Western movies. So yeah, I'll give you the honorable mentions. Honorable mention. We have the new Planet of the Apes trilogy. I like those movies, but I didn't love them. I just like them, but none of them are bad. So Expendables 1, 2, 3. I'm not counting the fourth one, so that's fine. Because the first three ones I liked them, especially the first one. But I felt like they weren't really like awesome movies. Just movies that you watch once or twice for the first three movies, the first two movies. Third one you can watch once, that's enough. Fourth one is bad, but I felt like it needed to be added on there. Uh, the Bill and Ted trilogy. Again, those are movies are hilarious, but it's like apart from the first one, there's not one that I felt was awesome. It was like the first one was very good, the other one was good, good. So yeah, and the new Spider-Man trilogy. Yeah, I love No Way Home. And this was like it would have been number 21. And I love the first one. I love Homecoming. But I thought that Far From Home was just good, wasn't great, was nothing exceptional. So on that note, let's start with my top 20 best movie trilogies out there. Here we go. Number 20, Austin Powers, the trilogy. Yes, I'm starting the Goofy trilogy. I mean, this movie sometimes I thought was parodying James Bond in some aspect, made better spy movies than some James Bond movies at times. That's right, some Austin Powers movies are better than some James Bond movie at times. I mean, the reveal that, spoiler, Dr. Evil is Austin Powers' half brother is something we saw in Spectre, which made me laugh when I saw it in the movie theater. Made me laugh to know that they actually ripped off on Austin Powers, you know, twist. But what can I say about the movie? Austin Powers is hilarious by himself by being basically an aging hipster from the 60s, whereas Doctor Evil is just hilarious with his as being a Bond villain parody and being out of his depth and basically, you know, a fossil of his time, like didn't grow with time. Basically, he's out of touch. That was hilarious in this one. I thought Basil exposition was also funny at times. Uh, what's this? I mean, it features to me the two of the most hilarious deaths. Well, three movie deaths in the first one. Uh, so yeah, that's you check it out if you have time. Number 19, it's a tie. It's between Bad Boys, the trilogy, and I choose 1, 3, 4. I didn't really like the second one. I'll get to that in a minute. And the Jason Bourne trilogy. This one I like every one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, but consider strategy. Okay, what did I not like about Bad Boys 2? I know it's a Michael Bay movie, but my favorite Bad Boy is the first one. Second one that I prefer is the third one. The fourth one is my third favorite, and to me, the dead last is Bad Boys 2. Why is it? Because it felt like two different movies. I don't see it mentioned anywhere that it felt like the first half of Bad Boys 2 felt like Bad Boys movie. The second half felt like a very violent movie. Like seeing decapitated heads, people blowing up in minefields. It's like it felt very, very not like Bad Boys, and it felt like two different directors stepped in. It nearly felt like an horror movie, the second part, and for that series, I felt was not necessary. Also felt like Bad Boys 2, like some Michael Bay movies, was way too long. An hour 50, 2 hours is fine. 2 hours 30 minutes for Bad Boys, I think you're pushing it. But since I was talking about the best, I'm talking about Bad Boys 1. Bad Boys 1 was excellent because it mixed in some serious elements as well as chemistry between the two leads, the two buddies. For example, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, I think, have great chemistry together on screen. I thought Tio Leone played a great tertiary protagonist. The bad guy, you don't see him that much, so the movie rests on their three pairs of shoulders, on the shoulders of those three individuals. If they're not in there, it doesn't matter. It's not good if it wasn't for them. I thought the whole movie was excellent. The third one I thought dealt with the theme of as life goes by, and in the case of Will Smith's character, Marcus. It's Marcus or Mike Laurie? Oh yeah, Mike Laurie. Sorry. It's like he tries to still stay the same age, and he has trouble adapting with the fact he's getting older. Whereas Martin Lawrence basically he wants to retire. So I thought it was basically like you're growing up. Basically, those two cops trying to grow up and not just an individual, but basically divergent version of where they see themselves in the next several years. Martin Lawrence's character, he's imagined himself retiring from the force, the police force, was Will Smith's character envisioned himself continuing until forever. And even the police chief was a friend of them. Basically was telling Will Smith's character to get his crap together, to get his life in order, because he cannot do this forever. So that's a theme that you often see in horror movies, especially in legacy sequels. But I thought it's necessary. You cannot be the same person that you were in the 80s or in the 90s or early 2000s. You have to evolve at one point or another. So that's very interesting. Like a trilogy, I felt like I liked the link back to the past. So that to me is very important in a trilogy. Like at least a third, especially the third installment of a trilogy, deal with something in the past. What happened in the past that will affect them in the future. So that's awesome. The fourth one, sorry, I thought it was very fun because it was a reversal of roles. This time, Martin Lawrence's character was the carefree one, whereas Will Smith's character was more neurotic. I thought it was awesome in that case, like it was necessary. And there's a moment of meta humor about the Will Smith Chris Rock moment, so that made me very much laugh in the movie theater. And even though some people in the movie theaters didn't get why I was laughing, I did it. But that's okay. Jason Bourne, I thought, especially the first trilogy, I thought the series was complete. The fourth one wasn't as good, but I never qualified as bad. It was just there. And for quadrilogy, for the worst installment just be there, to me, it's still something good. Okay, as mentioned in the last video, there's some of my favorite movies of childhood that in the third or fourth movie they fumble the ball and they fumble it real bad. Not just we're okay. I would have begged that back then to have an okay movie. We didn't have an okay movie. We had bad. Okay, but nevertheless, 18 Beverly Hills Cop. Since there's 4 movies, I choose 1, 2, and the recent one, Axel F. Third one is all right, I guess. Not excellent, but there's some moments that I laughed that I wasn't supposed to laugh at. I felt that surprisingly, it's not the first one that's my favorite. It's always the second one. I thought the second one fit better what I envision Beverly Hills Cop to be. It's like more comedy and action. The first one was more action than comedy, similar to Rush Hour. Rush Hour, the first one, I prefer. I don't like him as much as the second one. I thought the second one they nailed the formula better. And which, by the way, Rush Hour could have been also in the honorable mentions. Eddie Murphy. What can we say about Eddie Murphy that's not being said? He's funny, he's hilarious, but when he needs to be intense, it means to be his character needs to be investigating something serious. He becomes serious. He basically lets his detective instinct reign. Whereas Judge Reinhold as Billy, to me, steals the show. For some reason, to me, he's the one who steals the show. It's like when he lets his character become a bit more, childlike, goofy. It's like, hey, this is when the movie it's a strike. Taggart is the guy who basically reins in Eddie Murphy's zaniness and Billy's childlike abilities. He reins it in with basically try to reins in the team to make sure they do their police work together. So I thought it was a great trio like this, and I prefer the second one because it's more action related, but at the same time, when it needs to be funny, it needs to be really funny. So yeah, that's my number 18. 17, more recent, and it could apply to any of those four movies, John Wick. And who would have thought, like, basically, I like the fact the movie just centered about a former hitman who goes ballistic over his dog. I mean, I had a dog beforehand, but it's like, I know you get really attached to it, but would you imagine becoming John Wick-like? It's like, that to me is basically like you would think it's like a bigger reason. Again, I'm not trying to say that he didn't have a reason to have some grief, but it's the fact of a guy who wants to retire from being a hitman, who accumulated as much wealth as he could. He doesn't need to do this anymore, but he does it for revenge, and you realize they awaken a sleeping dragon. And I remember when it went out at the time when it's 10 years ago, the first John Wick, people were hesitant because Keanu Reeves, like around several years, like 2005 to 2014, people don't seem to remember that he had a hard time getting some hits. Yet the remake of the Earth Still Stood Still, he had Rolling 47. He didn't have that many hits after the Matrix. Then John Wick happened, and people at first were hesitant. Then good word of mouth basically spread, and it became a great hit. And it revitalized his career. Basically, he had John Wick 2, John Wick 3, John Wick 4. He did Bill and Ted. He was in Toy Story 4, where he stole the show as, Captain Kaboom. So he had many of those moments in that series, in the John Wick series, where he stole the show. So, I'm sorry, and Toy Story, they stole the show. And as John Wick, he would take care of every one of the bad guys. And sometimes in the second one, you only need a pen to do this. Pen and pencil, sorry. But still, can you be more basically dangerous than that when you only need a pen to do so? Okay, that's for 17. Number 16, Die Hard. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to say the fourth one, not the fifth one. Again, John Wick. We went from John Wick to another John, which is John McClane. Okay, the first one, obviously, we'll address it, is the best one, but I can't discredit the second, third, or fourth one. The first one, I felt like he's just a cop that just wants to spend time with his family on Christmas Eve, who's dragged along with this. John McClane didn't answer the duty. It's like basically he's stuck in a situation where he would rather spend time with his family, but hey, his wife is taken hostage by Hans Gruber, and he has to react and basically save his wife and save basically other citizens that were taken hostage. I thought the whole movie was excellent. People consider it a great Christmas movie. I don't see it as a great Christmas movie. I just see a great action movie. Again, Bruce Willis in this movie has some moments where it's a bit of a zazziness, but at the same time, it feels like if he's one step below or one step behind somebody, he regains those steps later on very quickly. Hans Gruber as the villain, it's hard. It's fascinating to see that it was the first film credit to the late great Alan Rickman. It was his first movie role. So to me, it's like, and he nails it the first time around. So I thought the whole movie was exciting. Second one, okay, I felt like looking back, it felt like very similar, but Die Hard on a airplane. So it's not as original, but it was very good. The third one again goes the theme of a trilogy to go back to the first one. In this case, the villain is Hans Gruber's brother, Simon Gruber. We don't mention him as much, but I felt was a close second in terms of best villain of this whole series. So I like the fact in this case with Samuel Jackson they team up and they eventually uh, derail Simon Gruber's plans, and it was action based. Fourth one was also good with Thomas Gabriel as Timothy Olyphant as a bad guy. I actually liked, but the fifth one I really disliked. I went to see the movie theater and I regretted it. Besides, it was like 1 hour 20 minutes, and it's really rare that you have those kind of action movies and be under an hour 30 minutes and being good. Okay, so 15 is the theatrical movies of American Pie. Again, I didn't say there was going to be only serious movies. American Pie to me is hilarious, and you'd think they'd be more relevant in this era, but I don't think so. The reasoning why is we also the first American Pie was released when many people were still in high school, and they decided brilliantly that the American Pie 2 would be what people are doing in college or university. American Pie 3, American Wedding, is when people finish or gotten their degrees. They just finished their degrees and try to embark in the real world, the real working world. And the fourth one, the more recent one in 2012, was based on several years later, maybe 10 years after you graduated. Where are you in the working world? Where are you situated in this? What's your situation? And are you content with that? And many of those characters were not, but they had that friendship together. Jason Biggs as Jim to me is the heart of the movie. Yeah, he's stupid, he's goofy, but at the same time, I felt like deep down the character felt like he was the nicest of the bunch. He was also the most naive of the bunch, but also was relatable in some ways. His dad was hilarious. Eugene Levy played a very what's this? A very good meaning, well-meaning, but I'll say this, embarrassing dad. That was hilarious. Like at moments when you embarrassed him by mistake, he embarrassed his son by mistake, was hilarious. I thought Ian Nicholas' character was like based on any lead in a romantic comedy, who was basically a straight guy. Chris Klein was the cool kid who hangs out with basically like the middle popularity kids, and Finch was uh the oddest of the bunch. So, and then you have Stifler. We can't mention that without mentioning Stifler. Stifler to me is hilarious, and there's every time he becomes nearly being a bully, he's always brought back to earth, and always have to get a scoop of humility. If anybody who's seen the movie, you've seen that. So he becomes likable there. And the fourth one, you feel bad for him. Like it felt like, okay, he has a damn job, but he was kind of treated like crap by his boss. So I felt very, very, very satisfying to see him bring down his boss in that movie, Stifler style. So that's for American Pie. And if you haven't seen them, I like the fact the movies, they never exceed their welcome. They never overstay their welcome. You watch them, you're entertained, you laugh, and then you move on. So I hope there's going to be a fifth one, but we don't know. 14, Guardian Galaxy trilogy. Again, I think they're my first comic book trilogy in this one. Spoiler alert, there's others. And I like the whole bunch the whole bunch of movies. And what fascinates me is it's a trilogy I never expected to be good. I never expect the first one to be good. I thought I'm very, very cautious about it. Then I saw the first one, and I was amazed that it was one of my favorite movie of the year. Spoiler alert. It was goofy and it took chances, but it made sense. Right, goofy and funny for that kind of movie. It felt goofy and funny, and it made sense. As far as the Guardian Galaxy Part 2, I like the fact of it. They had to deal with that. The Star-Lord had to deal with his dad, and Kurt Russell playing a fantastic villain. And third one, the villain was very, very nasty, and there's a lot of heart. and a lot of heart. And at the same time, I love the way it ended. It just does like we don't need a Guardian of the Galaxy Part 4, nor do I want to. Like their story arc is over. Like, why can't we have in a comic book series a series that just ends well? You don't have to basically have an Hamlet series, Hamlet ending. I'm talking about you, Squid Game. But why can't you just let it be? Like, if you let it be with great quality, you can sell it and resell it and resell it. A different, a package as trilogies with bonus content. You can always do that. But if you make another installment that doesn't need to exist, you risk it. You risk yourselves, your future selves. People would say, "I'll just buy the original trilogy, not the other ones." So, Guardian of the Galaxy, I thought everybody did great. Dave Bautista as Drax always made me laugh. Rocket, Bradley Cooper as Rocket was hilarious. Chris Pratt, to me, was like the role he was made to do. Zoe Saldana doesn't get talked about as much, but she's very much very badass in that movie. And Diesel just says I ain't Groot, so I'm gonna say that. One thing that, yeah, Ronan in the first one was like, okay, cool. Oh, true, I forgot. Nebula, Karen Gilliam as I think her name as Nebula. I think is slept on often because it's like she's the heart of the team, especially in the second and third one, and she's always straight laced and basically very serious, and I think that adds the chemistry of the other Guardians. So that's number 14. 14, yes. 13 is under comic book series, Captain America trilogy. So I was surprised by this when I put this on my list because I don't. Captain America, First Avenger, to me is okay-ish, except the next two ones were awesome. The worst one is just okay-ish. So that was very, very surprising for me. Chris Evans plays a fantastic Captain America. I thought the second one, to be honest, is my favorite because it's a standalone story with standalone characters. Civil War I like, but at the same time, I love that movie, but it's also helped create a trend when there's a lot of team up or crossover movies, and I'd like to have super movies to be sometimes standalone, so that's important. 12, Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Afterlife. I consider them to be all part of the same continuity. First one, Ghostbusters. Again, nothing I'm going to say is going to add to something new. Bill Murray is hilarious as Dr. Venkman. Dan Aykroyd as Raymond Stantz is very childlike, but at the same time has some interest of his own. I thought Dr. Egon Spengler felt like very, very intellectual, but in his own world, but felt like he felt like basically like it's a character that was talking very nerdy, but you can't take him out of this world. He felt very awkward when you took him out of his intellectual world. And Winston was very, very an interesting character. If anything, I felt like in the second one should have gotten more time. Yes, Ghostbusters 2, I think, has a lot of flaws, but I really like it. I think people saying make it seem like it was an horrible sequel when it wasn't. It just was one of the many sequels that are good, but not as good as the first one. We've seen that plenty of times. It doesn't mean you'd stop making them. It just means learn from it and make a better third one. And the third one, Ghostbusters Afterlife, I felt going to kids and basically I felt like it was paying homage to the originals, but at the same time trying to make a new story going forward. And that I liked. This is something you need to like that Cobra Kai, Top Gun, and Ghostbusters Afterlife learn. People don't mind that you create a new story with an existing franchise, but don't disrespect the originals. Place in the story, even if they're not going to be the leads. That's fine. We get it. You can't have the same leads forever, but don't disrespect them. Don't scrub them out from existence. So I love Afterlife, and honestly, the last 5 minutes were very emotional, as when the original Ghostbusters come up, and it's like it was emotional, and at the same time there were a lot of reference to the first one. So yeah, I really like that. 11, the Lethal Weapon trilogy. 1, 2, 3. 4 is like it's not bad, but it's clearly the worst of the four. Mel Gibson in this case plays a very nearly psychotic Martin Riggs, and Danny Glover create the meme of I'm one day away from retirement. And yes, the first two ones are my favorite, but I felt like third one was very good as well. I mean, Danny Glover always has to be the straight-laced partner to uh, Martin Riggs, Mel Gibson's Martin Riggs. I always felt like in no way in some universe you could have a Bad Boys meet Lethal Weapon crossover. You could have had done this. Now it's too late for that, but that would have been awesome in a way. But yeah, now we go into the top 10. Number 10, How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. So this all, and I'm doing the animated movie. I felt like no movies and trilogy is bad. All of them are very good, and I felt like it never. Again, another animated movie, another trilogy in which every movie's good. All the movies are not that long, so never extend, overstay. Sorry, then welcome, and everything felt like they had a purpose. I mean, basically, Jay Baruchel's main character at the end gathers courage, becomes a very not just a courageous hero, but also change the mentality that the Viking village has toward dragons. At the end of the trilogy, basically they have to part ways, but it's like here that he left the Viking village in a better spot than he was beforehand, and yeah, and the villains in those movies were always very 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 well developed. So that will be this. Number 9, Indiana Jones trilogy, 1, 2, 3. I'll make a confession. Kingdom of the Crimson Skull is not as good, but I liked it. Dial of Destiny as well. I prefer Dial of Destiny than Kingdom of Crystal Skull. But it had its flaws. Elena Shaw was unlikable. I really dislike this character in the last one. I dislike the fact they tried to make her like she knows everything about A to Z and never get some comeuppance. Any other character in any other movie would get some comeuppance from time to time. She never did. So why do you care? Why should I like this person? Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like, okay, Mutt, I wouldn't have liked that they reveal that he's a biological son of Marion Ravenwood, as well as Indiana Jones, but at least he felt like he was doing his part, like he was still doing, wasn't undermining Indiana Jones. Which, by the way, another thing, in both Disney franchise, you have to put Harrison Ford as a basically grumpy old man who has a bad ending. You can't have an happy ending. You can't have basically him growing older and happy. No, he has to grow older and lose everything. Maybe that's the reason why there was Pitch Meeting was joking about this, or other channels were making fun about this. I mean, it is what it is. But getting back to the first one, it Raiders of the Lost Ark, to me, it's it's an excellent movie, but dare I say, it's not my favorite. In fact, of the 3 movies, it's the one I like the least. Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom is the closest thing to an horror movie of that franchise, but to me, my favorite is the last one. It's one of the few trilogies with the last one my favorite of that trilogy, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, and even the ending picks up perfectly. You know, to me, the reason why maybe I like the last 2 installment, and I don't mind them as much, is I know we got a trilogy right here, baby. The other one is an epilogue. We got the beginning, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom is the middle, and the end is the Last Crusade. I mean, yeah, it's last in the title. It's got to be the last one. So yeah. Again, Harrison Ford plays excellently. Harrison Ford plays excellently as Harrison Ford. Come on, Harrison Ford plays an excellent Indiana Jones. And I don't. If the rumors are true that they want to reboot it, don't. If you want to put somebody in the same universe as Indiana Jones, go ahead, feel free. But why do you have to redo characters? Just have other people in the same universe. I mean, it's not like Indiana Jones. It's not like Harrison Ford played a role for like 30, 30 years. Oh, wait. If you played a role for one movie and I said, okay, cool, I get it. But nobody, just like John McClane, I don't want a reboot of Die Hard. It's like nobody's going to say anybody else with John McClane than Bruce Willis. Like, let some roles be. Okay? Yeah. And Sean Connery as the dad of Indiana Jones, to me, was a great casting. What else can I say? Yeah, that's mostly based on Harrison Ford in this case, because if Harrison Ford did not play a great lead, yeah, it wouldn't be as good. Number 8, just looking one thing, is the second highest trilogy that I place on here. It's Kung Fu Panda. All of those movies are great. Jack Black hit the jackpot here by playing Po. The whole series was very good. I mean, the first 5 different elements of this. You got Jackie Chan, you got Seth Rogen, you got David Cross, you got Angelina Jolie, Lucy Liu. I thought all of them were very hilarious. And at the same time, they all played different roles. With Angelina playing the tiger and basically a serious one. Seth Rogen being a Seth Rogen character. David Cross being more inquisitive. Lucy Liu, with Jackie Chan. Lucy Liu be more quizzical, and Jackie Chan be more proud of his training. And Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman as Master Shifu was hilarious. I like that he was cynical. He was basically sarcastic. I like that kind of a teacher, the dynamic between Master Shifu and Po. And the bad guys were good. The first one, Tai Lung, was very good, played by Ian McShane. Lord Shen by Gary Oldman was, to me, the best villain trilogy. And I don't remember the name of the villain, played by J.K. Simmons, third one. And there's the chameleon in the fourth one. All of them, to me, was very, very good. Again, the fourth one is the one I like the least, but it's like the whole trilogy is very good. The first trilogy is excellent. So this is something that you would get on DVD. So now we're going number 7, Back to the Future trilogy. Here's a trilogy that you don't want people to make a sequel of, or have a reboot, or I don't even want a spin-off in this case, because when you go to the future, you go with time traveling, you can ruin everything. The elements of this, and I don't want to. Michael J. Fox plays Marty McFly perfectly. Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown is great. Scott is excellent. I mean, Leah Thompson as the mother of Marty's are very funny. Very funny, but at the same time, it's like the character is intended to be funny, but it becomes it. Stuart Wilson, I think is his name. I'm not sure. Sorry. No, Thomas Wilson. Sorry, Thomas Wilson, who plays Biff Tannen, who plays his son later on, and he plays the ancestor of Biff Tannen in the past. Very, very well nuanced acting ability. And it's like they're all the Tannen lineage, but they all play different version of this. So they're all bullies in their own manner. So I thought it was very, very passionate there. But the first one is going back to the past and to basically rectify some areas of the past. The other one is the Back to the Future 2 is what happens when you change one event for your benefit. Then you realize short-term benefits, but long-term basic pain. In this case, that means don't touch with anything in the past. And the third one is going way back to the past to ensure that a friend doesn't get killed. So I thought it was a very, very great trilogy. And the way it ended, you don't need a fourth one. I don't see where there's needs to be a fourth one. Some trilogies are best kept where they are. In this case, in the past. And we keep it back to the past. To not go back to the future. Just had to make that joke. Okay, 6-1 Cornetto trilogy. What is that? It's Edgar's Wright, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. I was introduced like 20 years ago to Shaun of the Dead, and I didn't expect to like it. I thought, oh, okay, I've never heard that movie. Probably it's not good. Then I watched the first Shaun of the Dead and was awestruck how good that movie is. And 20 years later, it still holds up. It's a great romantic comedy with zombies, and the jokes are hilarious. And it's like the main characters, like even before the main character realized that basically this zombie epidemic, I thought was hilarious when I just thought that some people were just drunk, or it's like, okay, this person's drunk, or these two are making out. I just thought it was hilarious there. Hot Fuzz is a parody of cop movies, which is hilarious. World's End is a parody of an alien takeover. Again, it's the one I like the least, but still very, very funny. And there's brilliant jokes, brilliant homage in this case. And yeah, it's my second highest comedy trilogy place in this list. Number 5. Now we're going to top 5. This is my top comedy series, the Naked Gun trilogy. I know it's got the fourth one with Liam Neeson, but the first trilogy is hilarious. Sure, the first one is hilarious, but I was talking to a friend about it several months back, and it made me realize that every one of those Naked Gun installment, all of them have different kind of humor. The first one is more about police movie humor. Basically, police is more of a satire of police movies. Second one is more political humor, and the third one is more based on movie humor. So all of this was Leslie Nielsen. I think they nailed what it takes to be the lead in a parody movie. All you have to do is have your character basically act in a way that is similar to any police movie at the time. So basically, his character was acting serious despite doing some absurd stuff. And what's hilarious is George Kennedy playing his captain basically treats Frank as he's somehow he's competent when he's not. It's hilarious. Or the gadgets are hilarious. Things like that. I mean, uh, how the villains get defeated always make me laugh all the time. The whole trilogy, there's some gags are hilarious. And again, talk about lengths of movies. It's maybe 1 hour 40 minutes, 1 hour 30 minutes. You don't need more than that. You can binge watch them and be fine, and you'd feel like I'd want a fourth one now. So yeah, I would have loved another fourth Naked Gun installment with Leslie Nielsen, or Liam Neeson. And it seems like Liam Neeson, I think they did a brilliant strategy, at least for what it seemed like the trailer, to not make it too Leslie Nielsen like, make it more of a parody of Liam Neeson movies. I think that might be better because nobody could do Leslie Nielsen stuff apart from Leslie Nielsen. But I love the trilogy. Number 4, there were 4 installment trilogy as well, but that's my highest ranked animated movie series, Toy Story. 1, 2, 3, 4 one's the weakest one, but even then it's not bad. But it's like at first you were introduced to Woody and Buzz, and I felt in that whole trilogy, the first one is based about their dislike of each other. It's basically the theme of what happens to get replaced. In this case, replaced in terms of the new toy, and the older toy seems like to be jealous of newer toys. And at first he tried to sabotage Buzz and going away, but then he realized, okay, what I'm gonna do? Andy really needs Buzz and goes to rescue. So it's a rescue mission of Buzz, and then Woody and Buzz learn to like each other. The second one is Woody dealing with a team of going back to the past of, okay, where did I come from? Basically, where did I come from? Where was my former fame? Basically, find out more about his past. And the third one is about the feeling of what happens when Andy doesn't want me anymore. It's basically Woody and Buzz, it's the toy, sorry, asking what happens when Andy doesn't want us anymore. And then go to Sunnydale's because Annie's growing, and so basically go to Sunnydale to feel like they want to be, they want the adoration of people, but then they find Lotso. Lotso's a great bad guy, as I mentioned in the list, and yeah, and the incinerator scene is still intense. It's like for a movie, a Pixar movie or a movie of that caliber, a movie of that category, it's very intense. So the whole trilogy I really like. The fourth one, I'll say this because I want to say I defend it. I see the reason why it's great, but at the same time, it's a movie that didn't need to be. All the other movies needed to be. This one didn't. So yeah. Now we're going to the top 3. Number 3, the original Star Wars trilogy. I mean, Darth Vader, Empire Strikes Back. I mean, Luke, I'm your father. All of this, Return of the Jedi. So I'm not gonna go too deep into this because it's what they call a space opera, and it's like it's a Luke Skywalker trilogy, which is part of an Anakin Skywalker series, 1 to 6, episode 1 to 6. And in this case, Han Solo is I would say a rebellious mercenary who steals every scene he's in. Chewbacca, I mean, he doesn't need to say much, but you always are riveted to the screen when he's down there. Luke is a great hero, but Darth Vader, again, every time he's on screen, you can't look away when Darth Vader does something or is on screen. He has one of the most infamous twists in the second movie. So sure, Empire Strikes Back to me is the better of the trilogy, but you can't discount any of those other installment. And basically, any trilogy always has a peak. But it's ridiculous to say, oh, this one's the only movie that's worth something. If all of them are similar quality, but one of them is definitely better than the other ones, it doesn't mean the rest of the trilogy doesn't make sense. It just means one is better than the other. That's it. Like, it's not like the other sequels suck or the other movies are bad. It's just one is better than the other. I mean, it's for any series of movies. Eventually, one is better. But I mean, I love Empire Strikes Back, but I could say Return of the Jedi provides more feel-good moments. So that's for this. I'm gonna go for this. Number two. Ooh, what could be next? Number two, the Lord of the Rings saga. I'm still astounded to this day that all three movies were nominated for Best Pictures in consecutive years at the Oscars. Only one won. Only one of those movie won. That's Return of the King, and I still believe that's not because didn't win because of Return of the King. It won because to congratulate the whole trilogy. I was reading an Oscar book uh, one day, and I found out they were saying like the Oscar Best Picture winners. They never said Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. They said the Lord of the Rings. Basically, 2003 winner, the Lord of the Rings. Kind of like say the whole trilogy counted for them as one movie, and they rewarded that one if it counts as one. The whole saga is fascinating. It's one trilogy I'm going to watch just about every year. And people can talk about the length of the movie, but I never thought time passes quickly when I watch this trilogy. I mean, Frodo is an excellent hero, but honestly, I prefer Samwise Gamgee. The Hobbits, I thought he was the more interesting, the more passionate, the more courageous one of the bunch. I love Aragorn. I mean, Aragorn in that series was very heroic. He was he was unrelenting. He never wavered from his goal. You got Legolas and Gimli's friendly rivalry that I thought was hilarious in those series. Boromir, Sean Bean portrayed Boromir as a very flawed hero, and despite his temptation, stayed a hero at the end. And I thought it was in a very emotional moment. Gollum, Andy Serkis started basically became known for that role, and it's like, in my opinion, became the king of acting performance under CGI. I mean, he did this, he did King Kong, he did Caesar and the Planet of the Apes. I don't remember. I think he did something else as well, but it's like uh, 3, 4 character movies where basically he's always basically doing CGI motion capture performance. It's like kind of makes me laugh. Like that most of his best performance are when we don't see his face on screen, his real face. Though he did Ulysses Klaue in the Avengers: Age of Ultron and Black Panther, and he was Alfred in the new Batman movie, I felt like basically his peak performance as Gollum. I mean, especially the second one, you feel like basically there's still Smeagol and Gollum that basically are wrestling for control of his body. And at first, it felt like an addict. Like the guy was basically at near the end of 2000, not the end, but he was nearly able to let go of his need for the ring as long as friendship. But when he felt perceived he was betrayed by the hobbits, this is when he reverted back to being Gollum and let his evil side take over. And the third one, he was just trying anything in his power to get his hands on the ring, and his obsession for the ring not only doomed him, but rescued Middle-earth. So Gandalf, Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf was excellent. Sir Christopher Lee as Saruman was, I'll say this, I wouldn't say just outstanding, was basically an excellent performance true and true. Trying to find out if I figure left out somebody. Oh yeah, Brad Dourif, I agree, my Wormtongue was very, very good. The late great Bernard Hill as Tilden was an awesome character. In fact, he's my brother's favorite character of the whole series. An FYI there. There's Carl Urban as well in this case as Yomer, and Miranda Otto as Philwin, who were very good performance as well. So that's number 2. Now you're probably asking, what's number 1? Well, I don't think there's any doubt. If anybody knows me, it's gonna be any doubt. So it's gonna be number 1? Of course it is. Is the 50 Shades trilogy? Of course it is. I mean, the passionate writing in this one, the completely logical scenarios, the non-problematic implication of this. Of course, it has to be 50 Shades of Grey. It was well written. It was critically lauded. Of course, I'm just joking. I just wanted this. Of course, what you talk about? Number one is the Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight trilogy. Okay, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. Sure, Christian Bale, I felt like played a very excellent Batman, but can I say he played a better Batman than Michael Keaton? To me, it's like, don't make me choose. I think they're equal. Ben Affleck would be perhaps on there, but you can't be the best Batman and have subpar movies or good at best. You can't be that. Robert Pattinson was good, but wasn't great to date. Val Kilmer played a Batman and had Bruce Wayne moments that were very, very well done on a movie that was great for 95, but that's not great for now. And Batman and Robin, let's said better. And Kevin Conroy will be great as well. Will probably be near the top, if not at the top, if it was all around. But if it live action, no, he's not going to be there. So it's between Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. And people can say whatever they say about Christian Bale's voice, but I thought it was ridiculous when people complained about it. Apart from like 2-3 sentences, I didn't feel it was cringe. You know, basically, the novelization of The Dark Knight Rises, they basically say the reason he has that voice because it's voice modulation. Even Michael Keaton in Batman Returns changed his voice when he's talking to Alfred in the Batmobile when he didn't need to. Why? Because the moment Batman, whoever plays Batman, gets in that suit, they become a monster, they become somebody else. A dual identity. They're not the same person. So I thought it was an excellent Batman, played an excellent Bruce Wayne, and he played Bruce Wayne, Private Bruce Wayne, Public, Playboy Bruce Wayne, and he played Batman. So it's 3 performances in one. So the first one was really based on Bruce Wayne and Batman's performance. Liam Neeson and Ra's al Ghul, again, another series, or another mention of Liam Neeson in this case, I thought was excellent as Ra's al Ghul. I hope I didn't spoil you the movie there. You thought it was Henry Ducard would teach Bruce to be Batman, but in the end, at the same time, it's between a student and a master, and I thought that was perfect for first installment of the trilogy, as well as Ken Watanabe playing the fake Ra's al Ghul was as well as good. Cillian Murphy as his character was fantastic casting. I really love Alfred as Michael Caine, as well as Gary Oldman as Lieutenant Gordon. And I thought it was kind of weird at first because I was so used to Gary Oldman playing bad guys. To see him as a good guy was kind of weird. But then with this and Sirius Black in Harry Potter, I thought was revitalizing his career. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. I thought they hit the jackpot with Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, all this added credibility to casting. And the weakest part I thought of Batman Begins was Katie Holmes as Rachel's Dawes. Her acting was not on par with everybody else's. But the whole trilogy, the first movie, it's about basically, this team is about fear of Bruce Wayne tried to not just avenge his parents, but honor his parents as Batman. Felt like maybe at first would he disappoint them, and at the end of the movie, he got his validation that his parents would be proud. And ended with the card of the Joker. And I thought it was a great ending, basically great closing line saying, I never said thank you, and you'll never have to. And I thought, sudden ending, but it was perfect the way it is. Dark Knight. I mentioned about Bruce Wayne. I think we need to talk about the 2 people that we need to talk about. Of course, Heath Ledger's Joker. He was, I mentioned before, my top 15 best villains. He's the number 1 villain. The moment he's on screen, you're riveted to the screen. You can't look away. He's charismatic. He's a chaotic agent he's an agent of chaos, and he can capture people's attention, basically persuade them to join him or persuade to join his mentality at the time when the people are at their very worst. I mentioned what I thought about this villain, like in the first video, something I mentioned there. But we'll talk about Two-Face. I thought Aaron Eckhart played maybe the performance is live beside Thank You for Smoking as Harvey Dent. And I'm not going to say he's a bad guy in the end, but is he that much of a bad guy? That's why I didn't put him in the top 50, because it's like, okay, it felt more it was taking vengeance on the bad guys and the good guys for what they done to him. And then we go to third one. Bane. Bane was menacing, and every scene is on screen. Basically, the fight with Batman is very intense. Did I compare him to Joker? No. But even the first, just like the bank heist, the first at the beginning of Dark Knight, you have basically the plane heist with Bane in the end. Maybe that's how you should start a superhero movie. Start with by introducing the bad guy, make him to be a threat right away. And every time he's on screen, you could see basically here's a person who, unlike the Joker, was disorganized. This person was organized, who planned everything out to the deep to the letter, plan everything to the letter. And sure, you think at first he's acting by himself on behalf of the League of Shadow, but you realize he's not. Talia al Ghul joined, played by Marion Cotillard. I love Marion Cotillard. I was expecting that twist. That was basically a twist I knew was going to happen. And I like the acting of hers, except in one scene, or that scene. That I will not defend for that movie. I will not defend that scene at all, because I've seen Marion Cotillard act way better. That's the one scene I will not defend in that movie at all. Another way as a Catwoman was excellent. Was she Michelle Pfeiffer like? No, and she shouldn't have to try to be. If not, everybody would say Chappelle's imitation. She tried her own thing, and it worked. What else can I say? I like the movie arc in this case. It didn't try to be basically a mob crime movie with Batman in it like The Dark Knight. Try something else, like an epic. It doesn't need to be the same thing. Every movie of that trilogy is different. First one, a superhero origin movie. The second one's a crime drama movie with Batman in it. Third one's an epic movie with Batman in it. And I think it works. It works so fantastically that basically every time I went to see Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises in the movie theater, everybody applauded the end. Anybody complain about Dark Knight Rises? Seriously, like, I understand you're in the minority. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes exposed that critics basically wasn't as high. The critics score wasn't as high as Dark Knight, but it was 87%. And more importantly, the audience score was 90%. So, great minority. Oh, how did Batman get back to Gotham? Oh, he's Batman. And second of all, when he left, it wasn't like one day before he goes to Gotham. It was like 3 weeks beforehand. So they basically exposed in the first one, Batman Begins, that he had the resources, basically the know-how, and basically knew plenty of people that could help him get across continents and get him back to Gotham. So to me, there was no problem availability in this one. I love the ending. Oh yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as John Blake was great, and I love the last 5 minutes of the movie. I thought it was very emotional, and the last scene, I mean, in terms of ending, the last scene, the last installment to me ended perfectly. It's like basically in this case, it ends Bruce Wayne's journey and somebody else with Batman. But so basically, all we followed was Bruce Wayne as Batman. We didn't see Batman by itself. We saw Bruce Wayne as Batman. To me, that's a trilogy that I do watch every year, and sometimes pick up new things like that. I would love for this to be a Dark Knight 4 with Nolan and Christian Bale as Batman. But if it doesn't come to be, at least we got this. We'll always have the Dark Knight trilogy. So yeah. So if James Gunn's gonna do another Batman, please. If it's true that he didn't like the Dark Knight or Batman Begins or Batman 89, it's like, and you love the Flash because probably had more comedy, then maybe, just maybe, let somebody else handle Batman. You handle everybody else. Let somebody else handle Batman. Okay? So those were my list of best trilogies. Do you have anything that I missed? If you have anything that I missed, put in the comments down below. So next time we meet each other, we might talk about the best movies from 2000, 2009, and I might change also the subject, go to wrestling. For example, I might talk about the best wrestling theme songs of mine, as well as maybe can maybe talk about some live events I attended and which are the match I prefer in that case. On that note, take care, guys. See you later. Bye.